Hey everybody, how are you? It's an unfortunately accurate stereotype about us Americans that we tend to pay way more attention to what's going on here at home as opposed to what's happening in the rest of the world. However, between the Russia and Ukraine war and the Israel-Hamas war, people have been paying a lot more attention to what's going on overseas. Specifically, there's been a lot more talk about what role the US is supposed to be playing in the world, and what kind of relationships we're going to be having with other nations and their leaders, and how those nations and their leaders view us. Now, I started thinking about this issue in particular after a brief conversation that I had with an Uber driver a little while ago. We'd started talking about politics, and she was asking me a couple of questions on various topics, and the last one was foreign policy. She'd heard that Donald Trump would be more capable of standing up for America overseas, since he was the president most respected by world leaders of any president in our history, whereas Biden and Harris were both fools that the rest of the world laughed at. And she asked me whether I thought that this was true. Well, let's just say I have some thoughts on this issue. But before I could say anything, the Uber ride ended and we had to cut it short. However, her question has been sticking with me ever since, and I wanted to answer it. You see, I wasn't entirely surprised by the fact that my Uber driver had heard that Donald Trump was the most respected world leader of all time. As it so happens, I myself had heard this very same thing, and I think she and I even heard it from the very same person. You see, ladies and gentlemen, there is one particular person out there who spends so much time in front of the media that probably everyone in America has heard him talk by now. This person is Donald Trump's #1 supporter and biggest fan. This person says that Donald Trump is the world's most respected leader, not just currently, but of all time. Not only that, this person says Trump makes better deals with foreign leaders than anyone else possibly could, because Trump has a great relationship with some of the most important and powerful people on the planet. This person says Trump is a very stable genius who dominates the world stage like nobody else ever could. The person I'm talking about is, of course, Donald Trump himself.
Today I stand before the United Nations General Assembly to share the extraordinary progress we've made. In less than 2 years, my administration has accomplished more than almost any administration in the history of our country.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you ask Trump, you will hear that Trump is an absolute master of foreign policy. Not only that, he's the smartest, best-looking, and physically healthiest president of all time.
He was the doctor, he's an admiral, he was the doctor in the White House, he was my doctor, he was Obama's doctor too, by the way. I said, who's healthier? He said, sir, there's no contest. I won't tell you the answer, but you know the answer. Okay, it was me.
Now, for your convenience, I've grabbed some photos that you guys can compare of Trump and Obama playing their favorite sports. I'll leave it up to you to judge who's the superior physical specimen. But today, we're not here to talk about how Trump can leap tall buildings in a single bound while simultaneously rescuing kittens stuck in trees. I mean, it's not like the guy thinks he's Superman, right? Yeah, he's selling those badly photoshopped pieces of cardboard for over $100 a pop. Oh wait, I'm sorry. A measly $100 only gets you a digital version. To get the actual physical badly photoshopped piece of cardboard, you'd have to buy 15 at a time for $1.5 grand. It just wouldn't be Trump if it weren't a grift, would it? But back to the issue at hand. How is Trump actually seen by leaders on the world stage? Let's go back to that earlier video I showed you and see what the reaction of the world leaders was to Trump's message.
Almost any administration in the history of our country. America's so true. Didn't expect that reaction.
You heard it, folks. They're laughing at him. And the reason why the leaders of the world are laughing at Trump is because he's a freaking idiot. Why might they think that? Well, let me give you one recent example. Trump did an interview not too long ago with Elon Musk on Twitter/X, and during that interview we were able to get a look at Trump's negotiating style when dealing with foreign leaders.
And again, I said to Vladimir Putin, I say, don't do it. You can't do it, Vladimir. You do it, it's going to be a bad day. You cannot do it. And I told him things that what I do, and he said, no way. And I said, way.
I mean, what do you even say about that? Now, I should say, as a matter of fact, that this conversation probably never actually happened. Trump is famous for making up conversations with people that he never had. But that almost makes it worse. This is what Trump, even after being president for already 4 years, thinks international negotiations are supposed to sound like. Way, no way, way. Like a bunch of freaking high school kids. I can't imagine a press release from Trump having a negotiation with Iran or something. Representatives of the Department of State in communication with the Ayatollah of Iran carry the president's message. Nuh-uh. To which the Iranian representative swiftly replied, uh-huh. And the president's office made a counteroffer of, nuh-uh, and this time I mean it. I mean, when Trump talks about himself as some sort of amazing negotiator or deal maker, that's the kind of stuff he's thinking about. The man is a stunning idiot, and everyone on the world stage knows it. And this doesn't just apply to world leaders, by the way. A 2018 study by the Pew Research Center polled citizens in various nations across the world to see what they thought of the leader of the United States. In 2016, the last year of Obama's presidency, the level of confidence in Obama among citizens of 24 countries was at 74%. In 2017, the first year of Trump's presidency, that confidence level fell by over 50 points to just 23%. That is mind-boggling, but it shouldn't be that surprising. I want to play for you a quick video that goes a long way to explaining why the world views Trump the way it does.
To Ukraine for over $200 billion. And they could make a deal with Russia in the next 3 weeks, and all of a sudden they don't want to deal with us anymore. We've given hundreds of billions of dollars. And why are we at over $200 billion? And the European nations are, if you add them up, it's a very similar sized economy. They're at $25 billion. So we're at 200 plus, and it affects them much more. We have a thing called an ocean between us, right? It affects them much more. But we're at 200. They were 250. I did the same thing with NATO. I got them to pay up. NATO was busted until I came along. I said, everybody's going to pay. They said, well, if we don't pay, are you still going to protect us? I said, absolutely not. They couldn't believe the answer. And everybody, you never saw more money pour in to Secretary General Stoltenberg. Well, I don't know if he is anymore, but he was my biggest fan. He said, all these presidents came in, they'd make a speech, they'd leave, and that was it. And they all owed money, and they wouldn't pay it. I came in, I made a speech, and I said, you got to pay up. They asked me that question. One of the presidents of a big country stood up and said, well, sir, if we don't pay and we're attacked by Russia, will you protect us? I said, you didn't pay? You're delinquent? He said, yes, let's say that happened. No, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want. You got to pay. You got to pay your bills. And the money came flowing in.
In this one video, we have all the things that make Trump Trump. Firstly, there are the outright lies. Trump was saying that the US gave $200 billion to Ukraine, while Europe was only giving $25 billion, a difference of almost 10 to 1. That's a lie. While the US is the single biggest aid donor, European and Asian allies combined have given roughly the same amount, despite the GDP of the US alone being bigger than that of the entire EU. But a single lie is never enough for Trump. What he said next about EU countries pouring in money due to his threats is another ridiculous lie. In 2021, the year Trump finally left office after his attempted coup, only 6 NATO countries were matching the 2% GDP spending goal. Currently, under President Biden, that number is almost quadrupled. 23 countries are now meeting their obligations. Unfortunately for us, Trump isn't just a liar, he's also a moron. In that speech, he was talking as if these countries were paying money directly into NATO, or possibly even directly to the US, when that isn't how NATO funding works at all. There's a tiny amount of money that all these countries pay in to maintain the NATO offices and whatnot, but that 2% of GDP spending target is what they're supposed to be spending on their own domestic militaries, so that if the NATO alliance ever needs to call on those nations, they would be prepared to participate in a conflict. Trump still does not understand this, despite having been president for 4 years. Just like he doesn't understand what a tariff is, or what checks and balances are, or literally any of the most basic aspects of governance. But now, to put the cherry on top, we get the final aspect of Trump. He's not just a liar, he's not just an idiot, he's also insanely evil. You just heard him invite Putin, a foreign dictator, to invade other nations as he's doing in Ukraine. Trump would be totally fine if the genocide Putin is attempting in Ukraine would spread. He's totally fine with Putin blowing up children's hospitals in Poland or France or Germany just as he is doing in Ukraine. And that's because Trump's only real allies on the world stage, the only people he gets along with, the people he understands, the people he respects, are the dictators, the mass murderers, the genocidal terrorists. Trump has repeatedly praised Putin as a strong, capable genius, including during his murderous invasion of Ukraine. But Trump has even more good things to say about Xi Jinping and Kim Jong-un. Trump bragged on Xi's behalf about how he rules China with an iron fist, and how Trump would like to do the same. If you want to know what that iron fist looks like, I've attached some resources in the description on forced organ harvesting in China of minorities and dissidents, including an interview with a doctor who escaped after being forced to participate in that abomination. If you want to know what evil looks like, watch that interview. And if that's not enough for you, here's a quick video of Trump talking about how he fell in love with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un.
Kim would like to have another meeting. We'll have a meeting. I was really being tough, and so was he. And we would go back and forth, and then we fell in love. Okay? No, really.
And in case you're wondering what kind of man Trump's new North Korean boyfriend is, he's the type of guy who publicly executes dozens of teenagers for getting caught with South Korean TV dramas. We are talking middle school age children executed in public for watching TV. And that's the guy that Trump loves. That's the type of person Trump admires. And world leaders like Putin, Kim, and Xi Jinping are the only ones who are excited for a potential Trump return to office. The rest of the world understands that Trump is a walking catastrophe, and you should understand that too. Vote blue, people. Until next time. Goodbye. Thanks for watching that video, everyone. Now, if you liked that video, then please like the video, and of course, share and subscribe. And most importantly, please, if you can, comment. Because it's not only really good for me algorithmically in terms of getting my channel views, but I'm also kind of new at this, and I would love your feedback, your advice, your thoughts, comments, ideas, anything like that. So please leave a message, like, subscribe, and share. Till next time, bye-bye.